If you are not in a place getting ready for 2026, then you need to do better. That's what I'll say. So I'm going to repeat it again. You need to be in a place to get ready for 2026. So that way you can go into the new year with a plan. Not that everything on that plan might happen. Some things you're going to achieve, some things you might not, but at least you have a plan.
Welcome to CEO Conversations, the private practice podcast. I'm your host, Brandy Mabra. It's time to show up as a confident leader to create a practice and life you love.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of CEO Conversations, the private practice podcast, and welcome officially to the private practice CEO lock-in. We are going to end the year strong and also get ready for 2026 in this episode. And I want to make sure that I'm putting things in perspective. So a lot of times people, when they show up to the end of the year, one or two things happen. They're either in a place of like, yes, I'm going to crush it for the rest of the year, or they're in the camp of, there's these goals. I thought we were going to hit them, and we're probably not. And so either camp that you might be in, I just want to give you the grace and the permission to just be where you're at. The most important thing is if there is something that you know that you want to go after, then for you to get the clarity on what it's going to take for you to actually complete this goal. So I'm a big advocate for SMART goals. And so what SMART goals means is the goal is specific, it's measurable, it's attainable, it's realistic, and it's timely or time bound. Depends on everyone's definition. Either way, it has a due date and a deadline that's going to go with it. So the area that you want to focus on, if you are in the camp of, hey, there's this goal that I really want to achieve, is it attainable and is it realistic? And is it something that you can actually complete before the end of the year? When we say end the year strong, sometimes people are going after things that just, you can set up the foundation, but it's probably going to be more relative for 2026, just given where we're at in the course of the year. So as you're going through and making your list of what did I want to achieve for the end of the year and what have I achieved and what have I not achieved, then one of the things that you'll look at is, can I actually do it? If you can, great. Go after it, guns a-blazing, hit your goals, finish, celebrate, do all the things. If you are in the place where no, it's not going to happen, then be strategic about it. And also go back and think about what could we have done differently this past year. There's so many lessons in Q4, which is actually why it's one of my favorite quarters, because there's lessons that we can pull from the whole year for what worked, what didn't work, what are some things that we did really well, what are some things that we probably need improvement on. This is for ourselves as owners and CEOs and also for our teams. So there's just nuggets and gold of information in Q4. One of the things for me personally, when I think about my lock-in, is I'm trying to set myself up for 2026, thinking about my health. So when we're thinking about these goals, it doesn't just have to be business, it can also be personal. And with the personal piece, I think that's one of the more important things, because if we are not well as CEOs, if we are not taking care of ourselves, if we are not setting ourselves up mindset-wise, emotionally, physically, mentally, all those things, then it's going to be really hard for us to achieve any goals. So this year, for me, just some behind the scenes has been very challenging. It is probably one of my most challenging years to date. Now, have we done some amazing things? Absolutely. I talked a couple weeks ago through audio only about the retreat that we hosted. It was my first international retreat, amazing. There's some great things that we've done with our clients this year inside of Private Practice CEO. But also I've been navigating a lot of personal things with an aging mother who was earlier this year diagnosed with dementia. I was not expecting that at all. And so with that threw my whole year for a loop. And my team will tell you, I started out the year oh, we're going to be doing all these things. There has been talks of me even getting a book deal, speaking, all these things. And I had to put all that on hold this year because of my mother. Now, everybody has priorities. For me, my family was my priority. But because of that, some things, the goal changed, the plan changed. So getting into this stage where things are more stable, I've gotten used to my new reality. There's structure that I've put in place for me. There are We have a caretaker that's helping. And so things are much more stable. Well, one of the things that did take a back seat was my health because of just trying to navigate. So I'm in the place for my lock-in, setting myself up to making sure that I can get back to working out normal, making sure that I can get back into my eating healthy habits, making sure that my sleep is on point. So all of that is, for me, setting the foundation, not just for Q4, not just for me ending the year, but also getting ready for next year and really just life, right? So these are like lifestyle changes. And so I think sometimes when we're doing this work, we put ourselves through so much pressure, and there are good seasons, there are tenuous seasons, there are ups, there are downs, there are ebbs, there are flows, there are mountains, there are valleys, like however you want to say it. And our job is to give ourselves what we need and just to have an appreciation for the season that we're in. One of the things for me, I'm celebrating because my mother is still here. You know, even through her dementia, she is still here. I can still have, when she's clear, I can still have conversations with her. I can still hug her. And so that is a win for me. And so sometimes when you're going through things, then you have to put things in perspective and to meet yourself where you are. So I say all that because as we're thinking about locking in, then what do you want to lock in on? Because sometimes the personal piece, like what I'm sharing, is the bigger lock in because that's going to help me for next year when it comes to financial goals, when it comes to the impact that we're going to make. I'm super excited because we're already going through getting ready for business planning, so like it's a really, really fun way for you to think about things. But also I don't want people to feel pressure as you're hearing my voice or maybe watching, thinking that I have to have all these SMART goals. No, it's a lot of it's just data. What is the year telling you? What do you want to achieve this as you go into ending the year, as we're getting ready? I cannot believe this, shifting into the holidays. And what's going to make the most sense for you, your business, your team, your family, all of it. And that's what you lock in on. So how do you take these lessons that you've learned and put some tangible structure around it? So this is where my favorite thing, KPIs. So key performance indicators, if you are new to this podcast or just new to hearing about metrics. And with the KPIs, then you want to give yourself some numbers to track. You want to make sure that when you think about the strategy that you're going to implement, then what is the strategy? So for me, again, health. So I am not trying to work out 5 days a week because that's from where I'm at. Like that just seems like I'm going from almost 0 to 5. Like that makes no sense. So what is the nice cadence for me? Well, I'm going to be working out, 3 days a week. That's my goal. And I'm actually going through the process of like a tiered approach. So I'm starting off with 1 day. If I can get consistent with working out 1 day, great. Then I'm going to add 2 days. If I can get consistent with working out 2 days, then I'll add my 3rd day. So same thing with business. So what is a strategy that you want to implement, or that a cadence or a number that you can assign? So for example, if you're like, I really want to make sure that we hit our revenue goals, amazing. What needs to happen inside of your practice? So going back and pulling the data, how many new visits is it going to take? Or is your recall strategy on point? Are there people who need to come back to the practice when I say recall? What's the opportunity? What marketing? What leads are coming in? How are you nurturing those leads? How are you building the relationships with those leads? What's your setup for making sure that your schedules are filled? All of that. So if you're saying like, I want to make sure we hit our revenue goals, great. How much revenue is going to come in now based on what's already on the books? And then what needs to happen for you strategy wise to implement in order for you to hit that revenue goal? And then what is the KPI? So maybe the KPI is we need 200 more consultations, or we need 200 more new patients to come in. And then we need 500 established patients to be part of like our ongoing schedule in order for us to hit our revenue goals. We need to make sure our denial rates are down. I know right now for some of our clients are going through some wonky insurance things. And so our denial rates need to be lower. So that way the revenue that is supposed to come in for the claims that's supposed to come through and be paid out, then that money's going to come through seamlessly. If you're cash pay, then same thing. We need to make sure that we're collecting all of our money. So if people might be on payment plans, or Maybe there is outstanding balances that might be due. So all of that's going to impact whether or not you hit your financial goals for the end of the year. That's what you're going to implement a strategy for. So it's almost like where you're creating, one of the things I always say is like you're creating a strategy for the obstacle, but you have to get very clear on what is the current state of your practice or what's the current state of your situation. And then what is the strategy that you're going to implement to make sure that you actually achieve what you want to achieve. So as you're ending the year, so even playing for the revenue goal, so as you're ending the year and you're paying attention to what is the strategy, then you're also keeping in mind what is going to be the strategy for Q1 of 2026, right? So everybody should be getting ready for 2026. I said this on the podcast prior, talking about the retreat. Like, you should be in a place getting ready for 2026. If you are not in a place getting ready for 2026, then you need to do better. That's what I'll say. So I'm going to repeat it again. You need to be in a place to get ready for 2026. So that way you can go into the new year with a plan. Not that everything on that plan might happen. Some things you're going to achieve, some things you might not, but at least you have a plan. And one of the things I believe when it comes to planning is you're setting yourself up for what is going to happen. You're stepping into the vision. You're claiming what's going to happen. So even from a revenue standpoint, if there's a certain amount of money that you want to make in 2026, set the intention and set the strategy so that way you can hit it, right? Compared to, well, I want to hit multiple seven figures, but I don't have a way to do it, or I want to increase my profit. I don't know what we're going to do, or I want to bring on, 5 new providers, but I don't know how I'm going to hire them. I don't know what order. I don't know if we can even fill those schedules. Like, that's how a lot of people go into the new year, and you can't do that. You just can't. You really, really just can't. You shouldn't. You don't want to. You don't need to. At the end of the day, just don't do it. Just don't do it. You want to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success. And so part of this is, as you're gathering the data, as you're thinking about what do we need to end the year strong, also think about what needs to happen in order to make sure that we are setting ourselves up for the next year, for 2026. And that way, even when you're thinking about this time next year, that you're in a position where you're really where you want to be. You're always in 2 places. I've said this before. You're in 2 places as a CEO. You're in current state. What is the current state of the union? And then also, what is the future state for where we're moving towards, because you're the visionary for the business. The other part of this is accountability. So making sure that you have community around you is so helpful. So I am so blessed to even be able to say that the clients that we're working with inside of Private Practice CEO, the kind of support that they have, they're ending the year strong the way that they want to. Some of them have had very hard years, very hard years. Some of them are not where they want to be. I'll be honest, some of them are not where they want it to be revenue-wise. However, some of the work that we've had to do is like work on foundation, changing over team members, having to refine their operations, rework their practice models. So that way they're setting themselves up for success for next year. So revenue, it's going to be flowing. Profit's going to be flowing. And then for our clients who have been working with me over the past couple of years, some of them are hitting their first 7-figure years. Some of them are continuing to increase their profit. They're very clear. They're showing up as an empowered leader. Their teams are impressed. Their families are impressed with how amazing of a job that they're doing inside of their practices. And that's what Private Practice CEO does. And I would love to say that it's just me, but it's also because we have an amazing community and where they're able to hold each other accountable. They have group chats that are outside of even how we communicate as a group. There's real bonds and friendships. And so as you're doing this work and as you're trying to set yourself up for success, there is nothing better than when you can have somebody who is cheering you on, or somebody who just gets it, or somebody who is, I hear you, I see you, that sucks, this is frustrating, or yes, I see you, yes, keep doing more, and clapping for you. And that is what Private Practice CEO is. So our clients get out of the weeds, they have more freedom, they make more money, they're happier. It's just different. Yeah, it's just different inside Private Practice CEO. So if you're interested, then there is the link inside in the show notes or below if you're watching, where you can apply today. If you're on the fence, Then I have my Own Your CEO Status Masterclass that we're going to be hosting. And so you can also see the link. So that way you can sign up for there, or you can sign up for that class. And inside of that class, we're going to make sure that you're set up with frameworks and methodologies. So that way you can get out of the weeds of your practice. You can make more money. You can have more freedom. It's hard already, and it doesn't have to be as hard as what maybe you're experiencing because of the business side of your practice and not knowing the business side of your practice, or not knowing what this next level leadership needs to look like. And I have all those answers, and I would love to help you. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Thanks for listening today. I hope you enjoyed the episode and it empowers you as the CEO of your practice. If you enjoy the podcast, please make sure you subscribe, share the message, and leave a review. If you want more information and support in growing and scaling your practice, click the link in the show notes to take advantage of our free resources or apply to work with me directly. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.